Okay.
Okay.
Ready? Recording is up. All right, welcome everybody to the UOD Board of Regents Physical Facilities Committee meeting. It's February 15, 2023. I call the meeting to order at 4 o'clock. Our first agenda item for action is the minutes of our Physical Facilities Committee meeting on November 9, 2022. Did I get a motion to approve the minutes from our meeting?
Make a motion to approve minutes.
May I have a second?
I'm second the motion.
Everybody had a chance? Any discussion on the minutes?
I'd like to change my second to as corrected.
Okay.
Okay, so is there any correction you can make? Okay.
Yeah, I do have just a couple of typos.
Yeah.
So on page 1, the second paragraph, putting liens, the middle of 1, 2, 3, fourth line down, putting liens on these property, liens is L-I-E-N-S. And then also where we have meets and bounds, like the third paragraph, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines down, it should be meets and bounds is meets is M-E-T-E-S, not M-E-E-T-S.
Got it.
So wherever that occurs, otherwise that's all I have.
There's another liens one on the second paragraph,
And
second to the last sentence, or
yeah,
share property liens. That's another one. On Student Services Center on page 2, second paragraph, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, demotion. I think that's supposed to be demolition.
Correct. Look like it, yeah.
I think when we have references to land management, I usually do DLM. I see DLM, but that's just official.
Oh, you can probably spell it out the first time, and then when it repeats, then
Hypothesize
you
it,
put
use it.
DLM.
Yeah.
Don't have to keep
Got it.
the same.
The only other one I have is on page 4, campus lighting, number 2. There's other benefits included, and there's a bunch of 5s. I'm not sure what that is. I need this printed out. That's all the comments I had on the minutes. Any other edits? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye, subject to corrections.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, moving on to 3.0 old business and continuing business. 3.1 FMS updates. Glenn, you gonna have a presentation for us?
So if I could start just to
Sure.
give a brief update. We've been stuck. We've been stuck on the USDA projects, actually. So I think we may have talked about this before, but we didn't realize that it was going to cause this much trouble. But so we had the USDA projects trucking along, and then the EDA projects were coming up quickly behind us, and EDA reached out to Security Title and said, we're getting ready to put a lien on this piece of property here because they're funding the nursing annex way over there. And they said, well, USDA already has a lien for the student center. And they said, can you take a second? And absolutely, we can't take a second. And we've been trying to get the attorneys together, and we've taken the approach, let's just get going on USDA. And when the EDA is ready, then we'll deal with those 2 buildings. The good news, and I guess Glenn's going to get to this, but the good news is that we've been working at subdividing the land that the nursing annex is going to be on, and we're hearing it's with land management now. We're just days away from getting that approval, and that should clear off EDA. We're still trying to work with, during this process, USDA was saying, well, why don't we just go ahead and subdivide the student center area also? So we've been working at that, but the attorneys have been, they're fighting for their clients, and it's been really hard to get this broken. I was obviously I was hoping we'd be further along than we are now, but we are so close, and you've seen, and Glenn will talk about that, but we got the fences up around the student center.
Yeah.
Everybody's out.
Yeah,
Right.
So we're just trying to get USDA. So we were asking USDA, can't we just move forward and just forget about EDA for now? But yeah, I think it's driven by their attorneys. They're saying, we know that issue's out there. We want to deal with it and have a solution.
plus they're
rather than-
talking to each other also. That's the issue
Yeah.
too, I bet.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, and one part is good, because our solution, what we had been saying was that, look, we will make this right for EDA. We will make sure that this gets the nursing annex property gets carved out, and that's segregated, and they get the lien that they need on that. But they brought up the issue, and it's wise, if that happens 6, 8, 10 months down the road,
That's the issue.
Yeah.
people could be changed,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's really on their side that people may not, remember what everything has been agreed to. So anyway, they're trying to get a document together that we can just lay this all out, that we may have this subdivided before we get this document. But yeah, we're just kind of stuck. The attorney is going back and forth. I need this, I need that, and even getting them together was a nightmare. That it's like someone would say, well, I can't make the meeting today, we got to cancel. And then someone would write in at 5 a.m. and say, well, actually, I could make it if we move it up an hour. And so, Anthony wakes up and then finds out that, they have, and they're saying, where's Anthony? But he wasn't planning on being up at 5 a.m. to check his email that day. So those are the issues we've been stuck with. So anyway, turn it over to Glenn.
So the good news is that we're really not waiting for attorneys. We are doing the subdivision, and we want to do so. This last time we reported in November, I think you guys met in November. We sent the meets and bounds, as you read. They accepted, EDA's accepted it.
Yeah.
Now we're just converting that into a subdivision. We think we're going to get that within the next. I'm hearing Friday, but I'm going to tell you 2 weeks. Can manage your expectation.
Yeah.
But, and this is at record speed. I've never seen stuff like this,
yes, yes.
So we've already got one subdivision for the Weary and the School of Engineering. Now we're gonna get this subdivision, and then we just maybe another about a month ago, we just engaged Reliable Builders, the contractor for the Student Success Center, to engage their surveyors, and so we want to carve that out as well. And so while the lawyers they were all talking, and they were saying, yeah, it'd be cleaner if it was subdivided. And so lesson learned, we're going to subdivide, and we're not going to wait for them. But once we do that, we still need because we're using the endowment, we have to have the lease with them.
That's correct.
All those mortgage documents, all those documents have to now realign,
Yeah.
and then we continue on. But as Randy was saying, we have not stopped with we haven't stopped with the progress on construction. So
Okay.
we're moving ahead with that, and I'll report what we've got so far.
Awesome.
So that's like the last requirement really that needs to be addressed and that's it.
Yes.
And then we're done. And then
Right.
then
Well,
we're good.
They're holding us up. EDA is holding us up. We've got, I'll explain later. I think EDA wants all the documents in place before we go out to bid.
Hmm.
And we're basically there and ready to go out to bid.
Yeah.
The drawings are done, everything's ready. They just need to review it. They don't want to review it until they get all the mortgage documents. Everything's got to be in place
Yeah.
before I can look at it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
that's their position. So
Yeah.
lesson learned from here on out, and I kind of talk about it towards the end of this, my update. We've learned from that lesson, and we're gonna not let that bother us in the future. Okay, so for the capital projects update, let me just, the Student Success Center, you drove into our campus and you've seen that they fenced it up. What's holding us up, next slide, please, is the interim financing agreement, which is what Randy was talking about. So USDA although they're gonna finance our loans, they do not take out the loan until after the building is done. That means we have to have an interim finance. So the interim financer is Greater Nevada, and they too want to have clean subdivisions and all that other stuff. So again, once we sort through that, then we'll look at doing the closing agreement with Greater Nevada. Once we finish that agreement, then we've tied all the loose ends and we'll continue on, should be without a hitch. Reliable Builders is now 70% in their drawings. They have they'll pursue the building permit once we've approved the drawing, the 100% drawings. Once that's completed, they'll get the building permit. We obviously will help. Zenon and I know people at DPW in the permit section, so we'll try to get that to move along as quickly as possible. We've already relocated, I probably should let off with that, the tenants at the Student Services Center. And what you have, is where we relocated them temporarily until we finish the construction of the Student Success Center. The demolition permit has been obtained. They have had it since January. They're just kind of waiting for us. So now that we've got everybody out, we're looking at next week. They want to start with the remediation of the asbestos, take that out, the abatement.
I guess it'd take a while.
And so that'll take about 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then once we finish that, then
Yeah.
once we finish that, they'll actually put up the hard wall and then commence with the demolition. And that would be with UMS.
Thank
And that's students acceptance. Do you have any questions on progress there?
Yeah.
Okay. The next USDA project is the School of Engineering. Again, the issue is the student finance. I mean, in interim financing, and I need to beat that dead horse. Future World is the contractor. They too are 70%, and that the designer is RIM. So they're working on. They're looking at finishing it, probably anticipating the 100% drawings, giving it to us 90% drawings in March.
So this is based on the scope of the RFP,
Correct.
the enlarged footprint, right?
Yes. As I said, the property has been subdivided for the engineering and for Weary, so that's good news, and it shouldn't be
Not an issue anymore.
Hey, I have a question on long lead items for like these buildings. They're both design build projects, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so one of the things with design build is you could start moving forward with some of the construction work like the demolition. But are there any like long lead items that, I guess the design's not complete, but is there anything that they can advance besides the demolition, maybe grading?
Yes, you're talking about like generators.
Yeah, like
elevators and
ACs.
ACs, yeah.
I mean, we're waiting on our generator for how long now for the
Yeah.
other buildings, so.
Yeah, well, I don't think that I'm sorry, the generator that we're waiting for, and I'll address that as well, it's an extraordinarily larger generator. It can't fit in a container, so That's the issue. So we have to flat rack it, and before they flat rack it, I say wrap it. I don't want it to be too exposed to the elements. So that's where we're at. They actually did that, and like I'll mention, I'll tell you now, it's en route.
Okay.
So you have these generators that we're looking at are a little bit they're easier to get. They're a little bit more abundant. I'm not, I know I'm a year out, maybe a year and a half out, but yeah.
How big is the generator, may I ask? How big is it? MW, Megawatt?
The one I'm going to report on is a 600 kW.
oh,
The
KW.
one for this is I think it's a 250.
Oh,
The one at the ones that we want to get for CMAS is 175 or 200. That's within that range, 200.
Is the contractor going to be submitting a project schedule?
Yes,
It's
they have
Hmm.
as with their
Oh.
with their
Yeah.
payouts.
Critical path chart. and all
Yes,
that.
and we have that.
Oh,
Do
okay.
you want? I can put that in if you want to see
Oh.
that.
Oh, no, you didn't include it, but that's
No.
okay. Next time around, it's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
But as long as we're all keeping an eye on,
good point.
the completion date.
So for the two USDA buildings, again, the projects, we are waiting for the interim financing, and they're waiting for these mortgage documents that Randy talked about.
Yeah.
in terms of subdivision. Once we do that, I think we're moving on. As far as schedule, I'm anticipating Region D is this question. So we're not far behind. We haven't met our initial targets, which were ambitious. But if we get everything in order and we start actually doing the construction by August, we should be okay. But but then by August, there's no slack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus I'm gonna term out, so I want to make sure.
No,
It's the groundbreaking.
Yes, we're starting.
Okay,
At least that.
no pressure, no pressure.
I lost count of how many groundbreakings we've had for this one.
We have annual.
Right?
Ouch.
And we'll have it once we put on permits.
Yes, yes.
Fireworks.
There you go.
So the next group of capital projects are the EDA projects. That's the School of Nursing. Again, I'm saying within 2 weeks, we'll have the mortgage documents, and then that should take care of all the problems that everybody's concerned about. The design is complete, it's 100%. When we did the design, the RIM estimators estimated it at 6.7, which is slightly higher than what we have. Actually, the School of Nursing and the Query building, they do not want us to split it. EDA does not want us to split it. They want us to put it together. And the combined cost for both of them, the cost estimates exceed by about $4 million. Which you're going to address, I guess, as
Have a
part of
resolution,
another subcommittee, the internal endowment, 2.2. We're looking at another $500,000 to $1 million from the University of Guam Endowment Fund, and I think
Trying, yes, right.
the president and our executive officers here have gone to the governor and asked for another $2 million. And the governor, or the lieutenant governor anyways, did not think that was an issue. So this is just all kind of in advance. For me, the reason why I don't put it here is because
Not there yet.
I would
It's not
go
there
out to the
yet.
market. Let me tell me what it really is, instead of somebody saying, I think it's too high. And because we did that with the USDA funds, and everybody was saying we're at $700 or $800 a square foot. We ended up with the School of Engineering at, I think it was like $450 or $490, something like that. So
Yeah, that's what it is.
yeah.
But so Warian or School of Health is averaging how much of square foot?
So this, well, they're saying there's two different costs for the nursing. I think it's about, what we're looking at, for nursing, we're looking at, yeah, 565. And then for peer because of the labs, we're looking at about 841 to 990 per square foot.
Okay, because of all the special equipment that.
And it's a bigger, the bigger space and the bigger
Yeah. Okay.
Utilities.
But anyway, this is just their budget estimate at this point, because it
Right.
hasn't gone out for bid yet anyways. Just
right.
don't know what the bid spreads.
That's right. So Kathleen is writing her over the EDA projects. She wants to make sure that all the funding, they say it's this amount. That's what she's looking to cover.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
I'm good. Very, 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 very good stewardship. But for me, I would like to go to the market first and see, because that you might be surprised.
Well,
Yeah.
and if I could just jump in here, because it says what the issue with our resolution is that EDA has, they want a filing, they want us to make a filing this month that shows the 70% drawing costs
Hmm.
and how we're gonna pay for it. And yeah, the quick answer was, okay, well, let's just use our internal endowment. And that's really taking us down to nothing if we do that. And so we're trying to get authorization to make this pledge and say, okay, we have the funds, we have money in the internal endowment, we're moving forward with this project. But if we start to see we're not going to get these funds, we're going to have to take a step back and just think long and hard of, do we really want to take the risk of going that low in our funding? But they're demanding that we make this filing this month, and they've got a trigger also that we have to be done by 2025, and so this is a milestone that they're demanding that we meet.
Taking that long to finish it.
So you're basically just encumbering the funds in the internal endowment.
We're getting authorization to pledge the
Yeah.
funds, and
Okay.
but it doesn't mean we're
But
going to
we're
spend
gonna
the
tap
funds.
into it.
And already these meetings that have been held, it looks like there's at least some money that, like, the endowment is willing to help with part of it, and Lieutenant Governor,
Yeah.
part of it.
Okay.
We went through that exercise with the USDA projects about looking at reducing square footage and get some cost savings. Has that been done with these two buildings?
No, we haven't done. We haven't reduced scope.
No.
Yeah, and that's
DE
something
is like,
to think about also, that depending on what happens when we get the prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll probably take a different approach. We'll go with the options, generators and all the other stuff that we can probably pull along the side. The problem was that with the EA, again, I'm not, Kathleen is the one that's really taking point of this. We're really fixed. We asked for a grant. We said the weir is going to be 3 stories. It has to be 3 stories. I mean, we could have easily put it down to 2, just put a wider footprint. I said, why don't we do that? Oh no, it's got to be three stories. So we went through that iteration with getting variances and all that other stuff. And then again, it's the square footage. I don't think we can. I think we got to stick with that or larger, and then we got to cut the cost.
One idea would be like you were talking about the labs and equipment, and that's a huge
Yes.
item.
Yeah.
And if there was a way to have that as an option, let's build the building first and then we'll figure out how to.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's our approach. We're
Right.
doing that. We keep the square footage, and that's what Kathleen's doing.
Yeah.
I think right now at this venture, we're looking at we're going the snorkels, we're going the generator, and what I forget what other thing right now. We're just going to put that in as options. Cabinets and some fume hoods. So,
Okay. So you do have like, deduct alternates in the
Yes.
bid when you're gonna go out to bid, right?
Yes, and we'll put it
Okay,
as,
so that's, yeah, so that we
yes.
can see the breakdown.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And then, glad Zenon's here. Now you can ask all the tough questions, I'm gonna point it to him.
Yeah, then,
I think he came in at just the right time.
There you go.
Sitting at my desk. Really hacks everybody.
yeah,
So we're also, preparing a multi-step bid, for the School of Nursing and attaching it also to the Weary, project, and then we'll submit that to EDA. Zenon, you want to talk about,
that's a multi-step,
the survey? Sorry, we can go backwards here.
okay.
You got any updates? I told him that we're looking at about a couple of weeks, but I'm hearing Friday.
So the school of nursing survey is being reviewed, we're making a couple corrections to it, so I'm hoping that by Friday will happen.
Okay, which means we'll give ourselves a couple of weeks then.
I don't know.
maybe Friday.
I've been
Yeah, we'll
doing
take a
it
couple
for-
weeks.
If he says Friday, then it's Friday.
If you know what
And he's been.
Friday,
Yeah,
Friday. It's Friday.
So the other one, for the,
Yeah.
for the student success center. Met with the surveyor last Tuesday, he said, give him 2 weeks. And then he'll submit it, and then it's, generally working with Paul Santos and land manager, we're spinning it around in 2 to 4 weeks. We will have that in a month.
Yeah.
And then that
Okay.
should satisfy all the mortgages and stuff like that, the EDA, USD is looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in the
Okay.
meantime, we ran into some, should I talk about all of them?
Yeah, sure.
No, we covered the projects, just
Okay. That's
just
fine.
subdivisions.
Okay. That's it on subdivisions.
Now you got these guys tweaked. Their interests. That's not fair.
No, I just gotta.
We just covered the
Okay, wait.
projects.
Yeah, we did,
I just
yeah.
did the
Okay, so
5K
you-
mic on, you know.
So then you're saying a month from when? From when you spoke to them like 2 weeks ago or
For which one?
no, for the.
Let's get the student center
student-
completed.
Student
Yeah,
center,
yeah.
let's give it 4 to 6 weeks
From when?
from last Tuesday.
Okay,
Okay.
so 3, yeah, okay, so it's
I
still.
mean,
Yeah,
that's concerning.
Yeah.
but, we should get it soon.
Okay,
Okay, so for the Weary building, the difference between the Weary building and the School of Health or the nursing annex is that we do have the subdivision.
Right.
Again, it's
Yeah.
100% complete. We actually wanted to go ahead and proceed and go with the IFB for that, but
yeah,
they said that
You want it together.
they wanted everything all.
Okay.
Yeah.
we could split it and issue it out at one time, but they want it together. So
Okay.
again,
It's their requirement.
we'll go with the original procurement strategy, which is we'll combine them
Yeah.
and go out and hopefully save money on bulk chemo.
Yeah.
That basically covers the capital projects.
Good.
What is this multi-step bid
Yes,
that we're talking about?
so we're gonna do a multi-step bid. That's what we're preparing the documents for. We'll qualify contractors, and then with the qualified contractors, we'll ask them to submit their quotes, and the lowest after we qualified, then
Oh,
will be selected.
Next is BOR cultural.
Yeah, we're done.
All the-
From a construction standpoint,
Yeah.
not from an operational standpoint. Yes, we're done. And we finished the final documents and sent the thank you notes to DOD in December. We have entered into an MOU, and might want to talk to the president and Randy about it a little bit more about this. It's a 3-year agreement.
Well, so one issue that the land issue, the governor has been fairly solid that she did. If I could back up just for everybody's, just make sure everybody's on the same page. Back in 1994, the legislature passed a bill and said that 10 acres, so it says the governor may transfer that 10-acre land to the university. And the university at that point considered it UOG land. But this law, the bill got passed right toward the end of Joada's last year as governor, just with months, like a couple months to go. And nobody ever went back to say, okay, can you please transfer us the land? So the land never did get transferred. So it's still theoretically in the books of the government. And, you know, I had no idea that this wouldn't have been taken care of. Everybody said that's our land. And so we built a repository on the land. Although, you know, then the governor, when she was saying, I'd like this to go to the Department of Foreign Affairs, she said, and I'm not going to give you the land. And so we've thought, okay, the GCR sits on 2.4 acres. There's 7.6 acres that should be ours. And we've been trying to figure out, okay, how can we get that from the governor? But now a new issue has come up. And I don't mean to get too in the weeds on this, but Deloitte is no longer our auditor. Ernst & Young is now our auditor. The partner in charge of the engagement took a look at this and said, the Deloitte auditor felt like, okay, we can keep it as is and just depreciate this building. The Ernst & Young auditor is saying, I don't agree with this at all. This needs to be written off. And I pushed back pretty hard on him. And then he wasn't sounding as certain as he was at first, but that's an issue. And so Anita has raised the issue. Boy, if we have a $10 million write-off right before we go to WASC, we're in hot water. And so she's saying that she'd like to take a run with the governor and see, could you just deed the land over to us and we will pledge to give full cooperation if after this 3-year agreement is up, that she still wants it to go to Chamorro Affairs, then we will fully comply. We'll put it in writing. That we will do everything in our power to help get that transferred to
Chamorro Affairs.
Chamorro Affairs.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try that issue, but I just thought you guys should be aware that this is happening.
Have you scheduled a meeting with the governor yet? Have you tentative?
No, Anita asked me to give her a write-up. I haven't given that to her yet.
Oh, okay,
so.
okay.
She's away still. Killer's still, right? It's another trip right after the last one, yeah.
So question, so we don't own the property right now. So
No.
But it's on our book.
it's on our books.
Yeah.
The building is on it.
Oh, the building is on your books. What about the property?
Nope,
Oh,
only the hard asset.
Only just the hard asset.
It's government property, and we do have an MOU with the governor's office to construct the building, so
Right.
we
right.
got full authority.
Yeah,
to
that's
do
that's
that,
done,
but
thank God.
We don't know.
we
that.
just assumed that back in '94, someone would have taken care of that, so. And
When you
as
go-
we were arguing with Chamorro Affairs, they're the ones who went and did research to find out that
Oh,
we
God.
never did get the property, so.
Hmm. Are we trying to go get the property, like get that over?
we want-
That's what you need to do.
So I see here, stand up and operate facility. Are they gonna also be maintaining it as well? Do they have their budgets?
So UOG, under the agreement, we're standing it up.
Okay.
And that's what they asked us. Can we just get it going for the first 3 years, get
Mhm.
it all stable, and then we'll transfer it to, that's the plan, is to transfer it to Chamorro Affairs then.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that the governor's gonna be close to her final year of office, and she might decide at that point. Maybe it doesn't need to go to foreign affairs. It's her call,
Mhm.
and if she makes that decision, we'll completely cooperate.
No, it's hard to predict what's gonna happen for years.
The good news is that we're not using UOG general funds to operate, we're not using, I don't think so.
Right, no.
Right, or to maintain it, so they have their own budget, and
Yep.
when we actually do maintenance, we're not pulling it from UOG's coffers. They actually are paying for it themselves, so
Right.
if they use our people, we have an agreement with them, we're trying to get contracts in place.
Yeah.
When I say stand up, I'm looking at contracts for air conditioning, generators, all, even the custodial and grounds. And they either hire personnel or they contract out, subcontract with somebody else. So that's how we're viewing GCR.
And Monique's story, really, she's been really doing an outstanding job all the way through.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that when they see how well it's running, they may say at that point,
Right.
let's just leave it with DOG.
Better with us,
Right.
nobody else. Yeah.
Are there DCA employees gonna be also in the facility helping operate it, or is it just DOG?
I think it's just DOG.
DOG?
The agreement says they can monitor and
Oh, okay.
they can do some direction.
They're involved in the selection of the curator, the head curator.
Oh, okay.
I would imagine they would want somebody there to see how the building runs, so that when they do do the transition.
We welcome them every time. When we had the handover from RBI, we welcome them.
Well,
And then we even kind of went above and beyond. We had RBI coming back and say, can you show these guys? We're supposed to just show you. We had a contract with you. Yeah, but can you just show these guys? They did. So,
Smart move.
do you guys have a O&M manual for the?
yes,
facilities?
yes. And I think it's either with Dr. Story or it's with Dr. Story. So, because I remember giving it to DCA and it's back to her once we did the MOU.
But it's operational now.
Yes.
It's already.
Yes. They're standing.
fully op-
Yeah. They've hired people. I don't know. I'm not
Yeah,
involved in that part.
they're onboarding 5 or 6 employees.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
The life cycle.
It's like, oh, yeah.
So the units, the air conditioner units, we bought $500,000 worth of condensing units. That's behind the field house as we speak. We hired JRN to do the installation. They'll be our installers and they'll also be our maintainers for 3 years. Both contracts, JRN, that contract is about $200,000 to do the installation. So all in 700, and that's being funded by HERF money. Marine Lab, their first floor, I think it's like 3 or 4 BRF units, big units. That has been issued out. We already actually just issued a PO, I think a couple days ago, right? To Medea, so they're gonna do the installation and they're targeting to do that post haste. And then now that that's in play, we're gonna go out to bid again for the second story.
Hmm.
That's the air conditioning systems. I'm not sure if you have any questions or any concerns. No. Okay. For the generators, as I mentioned, it didn't fit in the container, so we had to get it wrapped. And I wanted to. I have pictures of it now. It is wrapped and it's now scheduled for shipment. And then the next units that we're looking at, as I mentioned last time, was the CNS 175, the science for another 100 kW, and then the field house. That's a 300.
300 kilo.
Those haven't been procured yet. That's just the next one on the screen.
Yeah, we don't have the funding source for that.
Yeah.
And for campus lighting, We've done all the outside exterior lighting with LED, except for the solar lights. So every place that GPA has hardwired into our parking lots and parking and roadways, we've replaced with LEDs. Some of the, and we're just replacing them as they malfunction or
Yeah.
term closing. But our next step is to now install solar. We've done a couple of solar installations at Dean Circle, which is our biggest dark spot area. So we've done a couple there. We need a total of I think 12 or 14. So and some more throughout the campus, but
Those have been ordered.
yes, the work on. And then the Siemens project, they're going to convert all the indoor lighting to LED in the rest of the buildings. And that the good news is that the materials have been ordered, and
Waiting.
So they're moving
it's happening.
forward.
We're looking
Yeah.
at up storing about 6 containers of lighting.
Thanks.
And it's a about $4.5 million project.
Right.
Yep.
All in, not just the lighting, but everything.
Everything else.
Oh,
Within
it's
the
plumbing.
School of Business and which other buildings?
School of Education
School of
is
Uh,
to do the smart building
Right.
Yeah.
pilots, but everything else, and here we're also doing a 15 kW solar
Okay.
array, but everything else we're looking at changing the lights, the interior lights to LED. And the last thing that I had to report on is on oh no, sorry, second to last, personnel. We successfully hired all our high level personnel, and you've met them already. We are now seeking to go next level. We're looking at planners and junior engineers, and again to build up Zenon's section so that we can properly plan
Everything
the things
else,
that we need
good.
to do for our campus. For skilled and unskilled workers, that's going to be an ongoing, it's dynamic. We're still having problems filling the vacancies for leaders like us, refrigeration mechanic supervisors, electrical supervisors, carpentry supervisors. We have that out and we're not getting any takers, but we're still hopeful. But having said that, if we do not get supervisors, we're training from within through One Trades Academy.
Good.
And that's that for personnel, unless you have any questions for me. And the last thing I want to say is we're in the final stages. We just need to sign a contract with RIM. And once we sign a contract, then we have 5 years, and that's going to be our partnership with them. The first thing, one of the things out of the chute that we're asking them to do is update our master plan. Our current master plan does not have C grant. We just recently got that, and doesn't have F-score also. We just recently got that. So we're going to bring that into our master plan and then come up with our plan. And what we've learned from the very beginning of this meeting is that we're not only going to address the rezoning and the subdivisions, but we'll do it up front, so we don't have these issues once we go get grants. They're also going to come up with our building standards, and which we talked about with Dean is in Bermuda. I mean, region.
It's okay.
All
So-
these titles are turning.
Yes.
I don't care about that.
So the F score, is that related? How's that related to the RCOG? Because I know being on that board, I know that they're tight for space and, they're getting a lot of grants and they're looking for more staff, and is that a part of that? as
You'll
well?
expand.
Yeah, it will be. They're not. I mean, I know RCOGs. They're busting at the seam, and so is ORSP.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah.
He's got a bias towards.
Yeah, I can't talk about that.
They're gonna get the ribbon first.
Yeah.
Well, and part of all this too is the parking. The
Yes,
parking.
That's another issue too.
So if you want, I can report on that too. I don't know. Randy's in the process of sending a letter to Jared Johnson at Hawaiian Rock, they offered to donate $250,000 worth of asphalting. Zenon's talked to their lead man. They're gonna come up with cost estimates, and we want to do this, since we're taking away parking, we're looking at just doing a asphalting parking area just next to the CNAS. And we'll have the water drain towards to the existing inlets, so it'll be sloped. That's what we're gonna ask for anyways. Because we don't wanna dig culverts and do stormwater drains. We don't wanna, this is not long-term, this is something
Yeah.
temporary. We wanna
Right.
Yeah.
address what we were taking away, and then we can put, temporary permanent.
Yeah, but EPA is gonna, EPA, we have to kind of get their blessings from EPA.
The goal is, again, we're gonna manage our stormwater, and we're gonna try to use
Yeah.
our existing inlets.
Right.
And if not, then we'll try to find a different way to mitigate that. I mean, we got a lot of green space, though. I mean,
Yeah.
there's-
Right.
Utilize it.
So like ponding, like with water retention areas and.
yeah, we can do something like
Yeah.
that. Or connect to
Yeah.
the stormwater drain that goes down to the to the ponding base.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah, that sounds good.
Minor challenges, but those are really minor control. Right.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Glenn. Any other
Thank you,
questions for
Glenn.
Glenn?
Good report.
All right, so we're gonna move on to 3.2 procurement transaction and contracts report.
Yeah, so you can see we've had a lot of activity this year. There's nothing, it's kind of everything is the things we do. We do on a regular basis. So the we did the upgrade for the booster pump. That's a little bit out of the normal. We renewed our insurance, which we do every year. And then so part of the insurance is our local insurance, and then the number 3 there for November was the United Educators risk retention group that we're a part of. And everything else is situations where we've most everything else is situations where we've got a grant to do the work. And so the one actually federal funds, I think, is being used on the M&A contracting also. And then so January we have our G4S, that's an annual contract.
Yeah.
And the LSG Sky Chefs is it's provided at the dorms, 1 meal a day, and that's paid for by the students. So that's also a cost.
1 meal or 2? This is lunch and dinner.
It's 2. Oh,
It's 2, lunch and dinner.
Anyway, I think for the purposes of this physical facility, maybe you just need to just highlight the ones that are
Related to-
related to projects, like all these other contracts. It's okay for information.
Okay. We did miss one, with this, we had the safety and security office updates, that we have, but doesn't look like there's any major updates there.
Yeah, we have had some safety issues on campus, and so one big change, we've had one roving security person just roving all the time, but Dean's Circle has been hit pretty hard. It's been several times, and different buildings, and usually it's somebody left a window open, and GPD had said that as they were going around, it was looking like there's evidence that people are trying to get into some of the shutters, but they weren't able to. But then if they find any window that's open, they go in. And yeah, unfortunately, one of the houses had a board with their vehicles and keys labeled on it. And so somebody, fortunately, they only took one.
Gee,
Vehicle.
Oh,
So that's been a
yeah.
problem.
No.
They've been working on it. And so the solution is to have an additional security guard
roving,
roam
rove,
just that
Just that
area.
area.
And so
rove.
CNAS has wanted this. The repository also has a provision for security. And so we're trying to add one person to go from CNAS to GCR,
Yeah.
back to CNAS, back to GCR, and checking and hopefully going around in one of the mules. So that hopefully they'll be able to sneak up on somebody and find out who's been doing this.
No set schedule. No set schedule. That would help also.
But we're hoping to make it just constant through the
Yeah.
night that they're
Yeah.
Going up to the GCR, going around the building, making sure no one's there, and then coming back on Dean Circle.
I noticed that they did block off Dean Circle. So at night, they block off Dean Circle cones and
Good.
then they open it up, I think at about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay. So that's just more deterrent, but it doesn't keep people.
Right.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about the student safety force. But I guess I can start on that right now. We didn't get any takers. We created this program last spring, and we didn't get any takers in the fall. And we've been a little bit more aggressive this semester, and we got 7 at one point. 2 of them qualified for work study, which we were hoping everybody would qualify for work study, but then those 2 pulled out. So I think we're down to 5 now. And we'd like to get moving on that. We've, as we're getting close to getting into agreements with these students, the issue was raised that maybe the prior documents that we had, I didn't catch it. I always try to leave flexibility in everything, and we didn't in the documents that we got approved last year. It just said we will pay the student security guards $11 an hour, and that means there's no room for adjustments or pay increases or to give any kind of an increase. And so we're asking to change our schedule. So we changed the wording from, instead of just saying we're going to pay $11 an hour, now it says that me, Vice President of Administration of Finance, can determine what the salary would be. And the issue had come up that we were going to pay them 11. It's just over minimum wage, and yet we're asking these students to be out at night. We're asking them to be out in the elements and help people get to their cars at night. And there's kind of some inherent risks being a security person.
Yes.
We thought, I think we need some flexibility to move a little bit up of the bottom on that. So we're asking for flexibility.
Of course, compensate more.
Just a point of order, you're jumping to 4.2 at this point.
Yep.
We're still at 3.3.
Sorry,
Right.
and we're in safety. We're in safety. So
This is actually the discussion.
This is the discussion, right? So it'd be-
Yeah.
yeah, I noticed that too. We're like, oh, we're in this second.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else for safety? All right, let's move on to 3.3 IT infrastructure.
So
regarding IT, we're closing out our recovery efforts, right? From our past ransomware, so it looks like we're close to finishing. One of the last applications that we have is our eTreat content management system. So we are, the last update I gave, I know I said we were still trying to procure the kind of the services that we need, so that's done. So the system is installed. We're doing setup and configuration, that's currently ongoing. We did the migration from kind of the old system that was there, and we're pulling all the information, and it's now a cloud system, so we've moved to the cloud at least for that particular application. So that'll happen until we're actually done. We're already doing training, so we've done system administration training, which is this week, and then towards the end of the week, start doing end user training. So as far as one of the last recovery softwares that we have, that would probably be it. And hopefully we'll get over that particular hurdle. Does anybody have any questions regarding that, or?
No.
Okay,
So we're back on track now.
looks like we're getting much.
4 months.
Oh,
or something.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So now, aside from recovery, now we're, part of the issue is I'd like to try to improve our cybersecurity infrastructure, right? So
Yes.
one of it is really the weakest point that we have is our humans or us, right? That people tend to click. So what we did was I started a cybersecurity awareness training. We conducted phishing attempt simulations where we kind of send out emails and then
Yeah, see who.
see who bites.
Who bites.
A lot of our
Phishing emails too.
Yeah.
yeah,
We get phishing emails too.
So out of our 850 user accounts that we sent to, about 48 did not pass the test, but so we provided some training to some of them. We did reach out, I think that's pretty good. I mean, the other side to it is because we sent out 854 doesn't mean every single user kind of checked that email. I know some of them see it, oh no, I'm just gonna delete this, so
yeah, yeah,
which probably is a good thing.
yeah.
And then to couple that, we also activated our multi-factor authentication on our email system. So we've actually, in our phase 1, we've hit all the executive offices, Glee, ARIC, financial aid, Hawaii, safety, pretty much a lot of the administration offices. And then our phase 2 is to hit all the schools, and then whoever phase 3 would be, whoever we haven't hit already. So that has already happened. And, I hope to get everybody on by the end of the year, right? So I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have some outliers who just, well, I'm not quite ready for that, but I think the more we get everybody in there and make it like a normal thing, they'll be like, hopefully they'll just catch on.
It's not painful.
Yeah.
Or not.
And then some of the other works that we're doing is we're standardizing our classrooms so that we can start doing more online learning in the classroom. I know the pandemic has kind of accelerated that activity. So now we're kind of, what I'm noticing is some of the other universities in the States, they already have what they call the hybrid classrooms. So there was talks of it during the pandemic, and I'm looking at kind of moving that forward for.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when the pandemic hit, it seems like everybody was trying to go to these hybrid classrooms, and so we were trying. We had the ransomware, and it was very difficult, but we were still trying to move in that direction. But we've been hearing from schools that, well, the hybrid puts a lot of strain on the professor, and a lot of people are backing out. And so maybe a better plan is to have a few hybrid classrooms in every school, so that there's some option, but that most people, it's not the ideal, and you really got to have the right instructor if you're going to be doing that. So is that still where we're at?
Yep, yeah, that's definitely where we're at. The fact is, I haven't seen any university that's not going to adopt a hybrid type of an online learning environment. So I think it's good that we are looking into these activities. So with part of that is we're looking at developing a pilot, right? So we'll have one classroom to see how that works. We actually purchased some equipment to already look at that pilot, but the other piece to it is I'd like to start testing. I'd like to get the actual teachers who are actually doing the hybrid classes in and just kind of get their feel and see if really the technology that we have fits their needs, makes it easier for them to teach and learn. Easier for them to teach in that type of environment where they have both students and physically and online. So
Yeah.
and I know coming from K-12, I know a lot of our teachers were really overwhelmed with just the online learning environment, especially if they didn't really have the right tools
You were.
to kind of manage it. I mean, and that was strictly online, right? Now we're asking our teachers to do both online and in person.
Right.
So that is a challenge. Accompanied with that is obviously as we do a lot of online stuff, the infrastructure within our buildings kind of needs to get improved, right? So part of my work that I'm doing is also looking at upgrading some of the cabling, looking at equipment that's over 5, 6, 7 years old that probably doesn't meet some of the requirements that we need as far as bandwidth or
Yeah,
or
hardware
technology.
requirements also.
So that's one whole project. And then lastly, for IT, you know, we did work on an online transcript system. I guess the university, we haven't really launched an online transcript system, so.
Yeah, I'm almost embarrassed to say that, but it's kind of a tricky situation because we have students, they owe us money, and we'd like to have an online transcript system, but we don't want someone to get their transcript if they still owe us. We want to
Yeah.
this is the last hook we have to make
Yeah.
sure they
They
pay
should
us.
have paid us.
And so it's been something that's been ongoing for years that we've been trying to get this in place. And we had calls from the states where they need a transcript and they don't have any issues that but because the way the process was that you can go online and request it, but then you need to go to the cashier, make a payment, then you got to go to EMSS and show that you paid it. And they're saying, I'm off island. And so they're calling. And so, you know, they call people around campus, and even Anita got a call from a friend who said, and so she had to take $5, go down to the cashier, go up to EMSS, get the thing, and then send it to the person. So, yeah, it's embarrassing that we're not further along on that, but yeah, our last CIO had been working on that, then our interim CIO had worked on it, and we just couldn't get things to work. And when Vince started, you know, he had an avalanche of things to deal with, and the ransomware was the big thing. And I think it was like October where I engaged him that I need a report on what it's going to take to try to get this fixed. And we got word last month it's done. So finally,
Wow.
we now that person can log in from the States, pay with a credit card, they're $5.
Awesome.
It'll automatically check to see if they have a balance due, and if not, then they get their transcript right away.
Good.
So
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I'm
Nice.
very proud of Vince for getting that
Yeah.
done.
Thank you, Vince.
So obviously that improves efficiency, and you know,
Right.
Wow.
we're in the current world where people can use their credit cards. And,
1950.
Is there a difference
I should go to
between
the banks to make
official and
deposits.
unofficial transcripts?
on this,
The same.
I think it's the same. My understanding is the same. I mean, I guess that's more of an administrative records question, because I did ask them. I said, why would I get an official versus an unofficial? They said, and I think the price is even the same. So usually, I mean, me thinking as a consumer, if it's the same, I'll just get the official one.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
I think the official is in a separately sealed envelope.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They direct it to the institution, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on, any other questions for IT infrastructure? Appreciate it, the update. 3.4, did we talk about Siemens or any other?
We do need to talk about Siemens. We sent our contract, our loan agreement with Bank of Guam to Siemens, no, I'm sorry, to the AG's office, October 15th. And we waited and waited and we couldn't get the guys in the last administration to act on it. And
Jesus.
they had promised me December 20, we will have it out, and then they didn't get it out. I called the next day and they're on leave. for the
On leave
holidays.
already.
So we had to wait for the new administration to come in, and we've been declined. They refused to sign it, and
Why?
I'm convinced that we can work with them and make this work. But yeah, one of the things they said that the bank should give us the loan for free because the governor owns the bank and the city loves the bank. And so this is like this is like paying yourself, and
And this is the AG's office?
so
Mike, do you think you can?
Well, let the record show that when this one was going to the bank,
Yeah.
I had to step out of it completely.
Oh,
Completely. And I didn't want to hear about it, know what's going on. Now, I hate to say this, but just the AG right now, man, he's a cowboy. We know that, we even see what he's trying to do, and
well, I'm not giving up. They made a lot of legal arguments as to why we can't do this. I think we had pledged that we said that your repayment source is our non-appropriated funds, including tuition revenue. And we pledge that we will not reduce tuition revenue while this loan is in place. And they say we don't have the authority to do that. And wait,
that's
we're
strange.
this, yeah. So I think that we can sit down and try to work through some of these things. There seems to be some bona fide legal issues that they're raising. So, but our problem was that Siemens has been, they've had this order that they had made for $1.4 million of equipment. That's been the order had been made, the vendor's been holding it, and the vendor said, look, I need something by February 3, or we need to cancel, and then you need to
Jesus.
reorder at the new prices. And so we told them, okay, just go ahead, and we're going to keep working on this loan, and we will pay with reserve funds. I felt like my thinking is we're so close to being able to reduce our energy costs and save money for the university. It just doesn't make sense for us to lose this opportunity.
Jesus.
And can I just add that part of the setup was that the previous Board of Regents basically put the requirement on the Attorney General. And so I think part of his argument is the board can't create an obligation for me, right? So that it was the board that created the situation for the Attorney General. And this just, our suggestion is you could just sort of undo that, right? You could just say,
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work out that way, but I'm just Jesus, with this day and age, a petty attitude like that, I mean, God.
So that's really the sticker on that.
It's one of them, so I think
Yeah.
that there's a reason.
The
why.
bank also wanted the governor and the AG to sign the document.
Right.
And I mean, for us, we're a public corporation. We don't need the governor to sign off on the board's fully empowered with all contracting authority, but yeah, the bank had wanted that, and so that led to some
Okay,
challenges.
Oh, geez.
so I mean, part of this, we can just introduce a resolution to undo that. Initial one.
We could, if we
We
need.
do,
Initial,
we do, it is being done. I think that's on the BFA. The BFA is
oh, it is, the
gonna
BFA
change
has it,
that.
oh.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That's for tomorrow.
okay.
Hmm.
So right now, we have 1.2 mil floating around right now. That's-
We've ordered 1.4 million of equipment,
Yeah.
and we'll have to
Okay.
pay for that out of reserves. But if the loan comes through, we can reimburse ourselves.
Yeah, of course.
But if the loan doesn't come through, it should start to build back up because we're having.
You're saving money,
savings, yeah.
and that's how we're gonna pay it, you know, but it's savings.
Yeah, I think you leave that.
Also helps the planet.
If you help us.
Okay, any other comments on the Siemens update?
You help us.
Thanks, Randy. All right, moving on to our new business. Let's go on 4.1. I have a motion to approve this resolution relative to authorizing university to pledge internal endowment funds for the new Water and Environment Research Institute, Wary Building, and the School of Health Annex.
I make the motion,
Okay, second,
first motion, yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead and have discussion.
Yeah, so we kind of discussed this earlier. We're asking for
Yeah.
the pledge.
Yeah.
And we're doing everything we can to reach out to other people to try
Right.
to
right,
Help us
make
along.
it so that we don't have to use our own money for this.
That's
And
correct.
we think we're gonna be able to get at least some money
yeah.
to support these projects.
Yeah.
So this just gives us a safety net, basically.
It
Yeah,
allows
yeah,
us,
that's
to do
correct.
the project.
That's correct.
it allows us to make this
Yeah.
filing.
Right,
easier.
get that thing going. Good,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, we're ready.
Ready for the vote?
Yeah, any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor of approving this resolution for full board for approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, moving on to our next resolution. Relative to authorization to provide flexibility in establishing salaries for the student security program for the campus.
Make a motion.
Can I have a
I
second?
second the motion.
All right, Mike. All right, discussion. We've had some discussion.
Yes, we did, yeah.
Anybody else have any comments to make on it?
Nope.
All right, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes.
Okay.
Great. 4.3 other business and announcements. Yeah, anything?
You have any other?
Hearing
I
none.
think you don't have any.
We're good. All right.
Okay. I move to adjourn.
All right. One second.
Okay.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Hearing none, motion passes. We're adjourned at 5:13.
I like to say one thing. I would like,
I might
I'm
make it for
itching-
my meeting.
I'm itching to go to the bank and say that
Go ahead.
what they're